We are live, gentlemen. We're just going to wait about 30 seconds.
How was your day, Will?
One day was good. Still studying for this real estate exam.
Oh yeah, how's that going?
It's good. It's annoying trying to get back into like figuring out learning how to study, like because I was never good with that. I never
I've totally forgotten. There is no way I could take a test right now.
Me and Rhett used to be we used to close out the library. I remember I'd be there like till 12.
Yeah, but we used to be there for like 6 hours and probably spend about like an hour and a half studying and just the rest time goofing off. It is absurd.
Good times.
The best is when Rock would give me shit for like studying like an hour before. Remember, he was like, bro, if you cram, you don't retain the knowledge. And I'm just like, I want to remember some of this stuff, but I also just want to really get a good grade.
The Rock. Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Shout out to The Rock.
Shout out to The Rock, NYPD.
Oh yeah.
He gave me one of those I got a Terrytown police car.
PBA cards?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, actually, seriously, I got pulled over on vacation this summer and gave it to a cop. Me go.
Nice.
It was 4th of July and I ran a red light because there was a baseball game playing on my right. And I literally
nepotism, baby.
Drove right through watching the game. And it just came over. The guy was like probably like 20. You feel like he was just out of college, and he was like, I gave him this card. He's like, I don't need that. Hands it right back to me. But when he got out of it, so maybe it was Rocco.
Where were you? Were you in New York?
I was in Massachusetts.
You were in Massachusetts, and you gave him a New York.
And you dropped a New York.
I don't even know how that works. Like, I don't think
just he cares about New York. I think that's why he said you don't have to give me that, because he's like, this is not New York.
He's like,
I thought they were all like buddies. There's one union.
There's one big cop.
Did you ask me a question? I was looking at my phone. Sorry.
No, we didn't.
Oh.
Nah.
All right, let's jump right in. Welcome to Money Talks. We're here to talk about all things finance. I'm your host, joined by my two co-hosts. I'm your host, Will Esposito, joined by my two co-hosts and good friends, Chris Badaracco and Mike Petrillo. Welcome, guys.
What's going on?
Thanks for having us, Willie. Handsome Will.
Thanks. I appreciate that. I like to think of it as us having each other,
That's very nice.
There'd be no podcast without you guys. I'm just here to facilitate the knowledge in your brains and share it with the people. So thank you guys.
Nice.
All right, let's jump right in. We have, a topic tonight talking about saving for a rainy day. You guys are both in finance and you have great extensive knowledge on all things money related. So let's jump right in. Mike, tell us a little bit about your reason for why saving is so important and why someone should save for a rainy day. Maybe, break us down the difference between a checking and a savings account.
Sure. So basically a checking account is an account that you set up usually with your employer, where your income is paid directly into your checking account. Your checking account is usually used for paying your bills, and just where you can take your money out of an ATM, or you use it to buy things online. And your savings account is primarily used for saving. And most banks will limit how many withdrawals or transfers you can do per month. That's the main difference, really. Savings accounts, not that interest rates are very good right now, but savings accounts usually have a higher interest rate versus checking account is historically usually pretty low because, like I said earlier, it's not really used to save. It's used to just make payments, receive money, that type of stuff.
You're muted, bro.
I'm muted. Our dog was barking. So Didn't want you guys
The
to hear
dog?
that. My roommate has a dog, so
Nice.
by default, I'm somewhat of a our. Yeah, he's ours. I mean, he's not mine actually, but so great breakdown, Mike. Checking, savings, super simple, personal finance, like 101. Tell us a little bit maybe why saving is important, why it's good to have a little bit of an emergency fund or some money stashed on the side.
I mean, there's plenty of reasons why. It's not fun to save money. A lot of times we like to spend it, whether it's going out with friends or buying something you really want. But there are times where you really, really need to have cash that's liquid and you could just pull from. Your car could break down. If you're a homeowner, your basement can flood, or your roof could leak. There's just basically just try to think of anything that can go wrong, and that's basically the reason why you should have savings, right? And you can, and we never really think that it can happen to us, but you can get laid off. You could be and it could be have nothing to do with how good of a worker you are or how hard you work. Sometimes companies just cut payroll, and unfortunately, people are left without a job. So, if you want to make sure that your quality of life stays at a certain level, regardless of what happens or the negative things that happen in your life, that's basically the main reason why you would want to have an emergency fund.
Yeah, and I would say the other thing with the emergency fund, as far as like, you kind of always think about the worst case scenarios, but even something as I mean, like, let's say you need to purchase a new car, like a big expense of purchasing a new car, or like you want to you maybe got it backed up and you got a fender bender. Like these things cost a lot of money, and the keeping a pile of cash on the side is just better, because you're less likely to pull money from places that are going to be less efficient for you, as such as pulling from a retirement account early and getting hit with penalties, or selling an investment that's at the worst opportune time, or either the position's down, like coronavirus just happened, and you got into a car accident, you need to buy a car, and the market's down 30%, and now you need to purchase to sell that position, and that could be the worst time to do it. So having cash on the side, you're less likely to pull at a least opportune time, and to sell even, and from a tax standpoint, if there's a huge negative impact of selling and realizing capital gains, you can kind of defer that, if you have the means to do so.
And you also don't want to, a lot of times people will just slap stuff on a credit card, and that's something you don't want to do either. If it's like a big chunk of money, you don't want to just slap stuff on a credit card. And it could be saving for a good thing too. Like, I don't want to just say that it's all bad stuff. If you're doing work in your house, or if you're saving for something you really want, it might feel nice to just put it on a credit card and have the thing now. But I've also learned, probably a little too late in life, that it's nice to save for something and then buy that thing and feel good about buying what you just bought, if that makes sense. Because you save for it, you're not dipping into another account, you're not selling stock, you're not pulling from the 401k or a retirement account, or having, anxiety that you bought this thing and it was really fun in the moment, and now you're like, holy crap, how am I going to pay my credit card bill? Like the reality sets in, and you're just like, what do I do now? So it's a good feeling to save for something, even if it's not an emergency. It could be something that you want to save for.
Yeah. So savings accounts, so I obviously know it's so important, but how can we create a system, or do you guys have any suggestions for a young person who's trying to save, let's say for college, or a car, right? Like, what's a good system they can put in place? Let's say they have a part-time job. How do they decide how much of their paycheck they're going to put away? And then, I know, we talked about automation last week. We can go into a little bit about that, both of you guys.
Yeah. So I'm a very big fan of automation, and it's something that I wish I knew about, earlier, but it once you set up that automation and whatever, and that's going to be a trial and error type thing, right? So like you might start out small and say, okay, I want to save 5% of my paycheck, 10% of my paycheck into a savings account. Like we're not talking about stocks or investing. We're talking about like just for the emergency fund or the savings account. Let's say you want to save 10% of your income or 5%. You ride that out for a little bit. You do it for a couple of months, and then you say, I could save more. Or you could say, I need to save less, because it's basically, it's every person is different. You have to strike a balance.
Yeah, and I think that's where you find, like, once you do automate and you do start saving and you reach a limit that you're comfortable with, usually like the general rule of thumb is 3 months if you're single and have a steady paycheck, and 6 months if you're either married or your wages are more variable compensation kind of income that you can't really rely on every week. And so what I would say is once you kind of get up to that limit, that you have enough to cover your expenses for like three months of living expenses, then you can start automating it into a brokerage account and maybe start looking to invest. But for now, I would say kind of automate into an online savings account, like Mike was talking about, and build up that emergency savings and kind of go from there.
Awesome. So like, without going off too much in a tangent, I'm curious, like, have you guys had anything that you recently set up a system to save for outside of an emergency, and then you felt really good about it? Like any good recent buys? Yeah, tell us.
Yes. Not really recent tangible buys, but I bought a house back in December, and there's just always stuff that has to be done, whether it's structural or cosmetic. So it definitely feels better to, like, I've done both things. Not that I've gotten into trouble, but I'm saying there's times where you buy something and you're like, eek, like, I gotta like kind of live tight a little bit for the next month to pay for this thing I just had to do. But we're saving now, and we're doing stuff in the basement, and we're starting to finish it. And it feels good I've been saving every 2 weeks. I've been putting X amount of dollars that's supposed to cover materials or labor or whatever. And I feel good about doing my basement over. I'm not rushing into it. So I can't think of anything off the top of my head that's like a tangible thing, but that's happening right now. And it definitely feels a lot better to have the money to do it.
Yeah, I'd say the first time I really kind of took advantage of like automation and not feeling it, and was saving for a wedding. And I'm sure Mike felt the same way. My wife and I set up a joint account, and we both had paychecks. A good portion of our paychecks go directly to it. And it's wild is like we saw it grow, and it worked out, and we eventually, we put some initial expenses on credit cards, kind of get points, and then pay it off with the cash. And then, but once we kind of got done with it and the wedding was over, we felt like, all right, feel relieved, like, oh, now we can start spending money again. But then we quickly realized like we actually loved what we were doing, and we just we kept it in place and kept living, we didn't necessarily need to save for a wedding, but now we were looking to start saving to build for a house. And eventually that didn't happen. I'm still renting in Jersey City, but it's still the idea of putting money away and kind of eventually getting to that goal of however you want to spend it.
Yeah, the wedding, saving for the wedding actually got me very much into the automatic transfers. And from my personal, I mean, I'm sure a bunch of different banks do this, but Ally Bank, the bank I use, or one of the banks I use, they have like an envelope system. Like, I don't know if some people use, old school envelope system where like you basically have a bunch of envelopes that's, one's for emergency fund, one's for, one is for the basement, one is for college, whatever the case is. It's all these different envelopes. So Ally Bank has something where I can actually, let's say for argument's sake, I wanted to save $500 a month, but you can basically break that out into 4 or 5 different envelopes. So you could say, I want to save, of the $500 I'm saving this month, I want to save 20% into this, 20% into this, 20% into this. So that's another, I think, a really helpful tool for people that are opening these accounts, just to make it easier for you to save. Less of you to like calculate every time or try to pull from this and put into that. Like it's like really, really easy nowadays.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing from both of you and what I know from my own experience is a big part of saving is having foresight into the future and expecting the unexpected, like emergencies, accidents, all things. Like we just had Ida, right? We had a massive flooding. And if you didn't have insurance or, your car, like I feel for so many people whose cars got ruined in this situation. I have no idea what, the insurance situation is in that case, but I can only imagine, right? So like the psychology behind the saving is really important because you're actually planning for something in the future. So it takes massive discipline. And what you're saying is that this automation process kind of makes it a lot easier on you. It's out of sight, out of mind, directly goes right to the bank, right out of your paycheck without you having to even see it. So, I personally, like you guys, use it, and I think it's like the best way to get started with savings too. When you even you're managing like a small a paycheck for like a young person or recent college grad. So, you mentioned Ally Bank. Are there any other institutions you guys feel like that are good for savings accounts? We know the interest rates are really low right now, but like what makes sense and where should people put their money?
So I think when it comes to the actual banks, I can't really give a ton of recommendations. I think it's as simple as, interest rates are very low right now. So I think if you wanted to I think it's just a quick Google search to see they'll rank like the high interest rates accounts. But I think Chris has a little more knowledge on, the different type of savings accounts.
There really isn't a great place to kind of put cash at all. I do like looking I would recommend an online account to get the best savings rate, definitely. And definitely just check it out. I think as far as like current rates right now are really, if you were just checking account, it's probably around like 0.1%, and savings accounts aren't really that much higher, maybe 0.662 I'm looking at. But like honestly, I would look into an online like high yield. Some of them are gonna have limits as far as like they require a minimum and they'll give you a better interest rate. But even so, like I wouldn't look at it as an investment. Yes, it's an asset class, and but like that's kind of that's like our the older generation can kind of consider a nice asset class because they're actually getting a return on it. We kind of look at it more as a savings and a rainy day fund where you need something on the side to help you sleep at night when the stock market eventually does correct and it does take a dive. You have an asset class that is safe and secure. And it's FDIC approved up to 250,000. So, you don't have to worry about that you losing that money. So I think it's important for that reason, but I wouldn't necessarily look at it as an investment that you're gonna get gain. Look at it as a savings account that you're gonna be saving for so that you're less likely to touch your assets in a downturn market.
Awesome. So, we don't have to go to, we chatted about this before. We don't have to go too deep into it, but inflation and how does that affect saving? People who may be working with cash or who are, getting cash like waitresses or, get in a cash business like, construction or whatever it is. Does that have any effect?
Yes, I think it hurts. It obviously hurts to have a pile of cash, and obviously the cost of goods is going up, and you can kind of see there could be we'll touch it on it maybe on the next episode or something where as the Fed keeps printing more money, the value of the dollar is going down and the price of goods goes up, and having cash isn't necessarily the best thing for an investment standpoint. But at the same time, we're thinking it more psychologically and having an emergency fund for a rainy day, thinking of it as, I have enough cash to help me sleep at night in case I do need it. And in case I lose my job, I get into a car accident, I need, money for whatever it is. But inflation is the one negative to probably having too much in a cash account. So that's where I would kind of figure out your expenses, figure out how much you need to keep peace of mind and sleep at night. And then everything over that, I'd probably keep invested in stocks and kind of to help you kind of, and stocks and real estate and commodities and stuff that's going to be kind of more of an inflation hedge and protect yourself against that. So, but at the same point, it's still important to have cash.
Yeah, I would say that cash is basically just another tool to have. So I wouldn't, like Chris was saying, I wouldn't think of it as like an asset. I mean, it is an asset class, but I wouldn't think of it as, the same thing as a stock. I would just think
more like an investment.
Yeah, it's not an investment. It's just it's something for you to have as a tool, to keep up with your lifestyle or if anything bad happens. But I wouldn't say hoard your money. I would just say have enough money on the side to weather any type of financial storm, whether it's from the stock market or something personal that happens. That's basically what we're trying to say.
Yeah, and I think it's funny to think about I think like older generations got away with it with hoarding cash and because they could get more return on keeping cash in a checking account. They could get upwards to 5-6% and
insane.
And leave it there. Where now as you're creating a diversified portfolio and getting 6-7. I mean, now the last couple of years you've been getting closer to like 12%, but realistically the goal should be to get about like a 6% return. And if you could have gotten that just keeping it in cash, that the whole mindset of the older generation was really kind of hoard cash. And I think they still believe it and will project that idea. But realistically, I think the times are changing as far as
it's a different ball game. I mean,
you need to adapt with it.
Yeah, because it's totally different because like I laugh sometimes now when I get like a little line item on my like bank account and it's like interest paid and it's like $4.
Yeah.
Like it's not like $3. It's not like
interest statement with $2 of interest that you got to pay tax on. Like,
yeah,
it's like why are they even what do they want from this? I'm gonna pay like 50 cents, like 2 cents.
Yeah, it's totally different.
It's a joke, honestly, compared to what our parents probably were getting in a savings account back in the 70s or 80s even.
Yeah.
All right, so we covered a lot, guys. I mean, it's from opening up a checking and potentially high yield one if they exist, automating our deposits from our checking or from our checks, our bank, our wages, or wherever our money is coming in from, and then we have, you guys mentioned, setting up that emergency fund through that into those automations into the emergency fund. Any other things you guys want to touch on?
Well, quickly, I just wanted to touch on, just to show kind of, we touched on how important it is to have a savings account, but how much people don't actually have in their savings account. It's actually kind of alarming. And I think it's important for people to really kind of understand that, if you feel a certain way that you don't have a lot of money saved, you're not alone. We're just trying to help people understand that you can get ahead of it and it's really important to. So basically more than half of America, there was a survey done by Bankrate, and it was a survey of about 1,000 Americans. But from the survey, more than half of the people that answered said that they don't have an emergency fund. That's kind of crazy, right? So like if these people that answered this survey got in a car accident, they just don't have a car. They don't have any, they don't have a way to get a car. So I just wanted to quickly show a couple of the let's see.
I think it's really funny too, because like the clients that I speak with, like we pull up, we'll enter all their balance sheet, and kind of figure it out, and then pretty much like create a pie chart of their taxable investments, their qualified retirement accounts, and their real estate. And you'd be shocked to see 99% of the time the taxable account is, I mean, it breaks it up to taxable between cash and stocks and investments, but like and brokerage accounts, but like realistically, the huge portion is everybody's like very tied up in real estate. And at the same time, you want to look at your balance sheet as a whole, make sure there's a healthy portion of cash, healthy portion in taxable assets, healthy portion in retirement, and a nice side and a little bit of real estate on the side. So I mean, more often than not, though, you hear about the real estate moguls that, so they're notorious for not having cash on hand, because they're either over leveraged on taking out mortgages and kind of reinvesting it into different properties, and constantly just not letting cash build up in their account, and constantly looking for the next place to place it in a real estate property. So I would say these are probably dead on as far as people who have a retirement or have an emergency fund set up.
Yeah, so I just wanted to quickly touch on, with the survey, they show you here. So if you look here, like, it's kind of crazy, right? So 25% of Americans in the survey said that they just had nothing. 26% said they had less than 3 months expenses. 5% said don't know or refuse. So, I mean, it's probably safe to throw them in the first two categories, right? So you really have, less than half of people that have, there's only a quarter of Americans that have what we're recommending here, right? That's 6 months emergency fund. So it's a little crazy that, that's kind of where we're at, And then another stat that was kind of nuts was, not nuts, it actually makes a lot of sense. It's obviously there's a direct correlation between how much you earn and how much you can save. So, for a lot of the people watching, I know that there are a lot of younger people and they haven't really hit that second or third wave of income or job opportunities. So basically, don't be super discouraged. There's a direct correlation, and I know it sounds like obvious, but there's a direct correlation between making more money and having the ability to save and have that emergency fund. So I would just say set up the automatic transfers and, keep at it, and you'll get where you need to be.
I definitely want to add, I mean, just because you're young doesn't mean I feel like that's the best time to save, because your expenses are low. You're, especially if you're in high school, you're living at home with your parents. Like, I was able to save all my money pretty much, nowadays I see young, kids out, at Shake Shack, eating out everywhere, the mall, it's like
dang kids.
And other than eating out, like where else are you spending your money on, as far as, at least for me, as I look back, clothes every now and then, the older you get, but it's the best time to save, and you could probably get a really good head start the younger you are and the earlier you start saving. So save those pennies.
Agreed.
Agreed. I just forgot I got a parking ticket yesterday in the Bronx, in the city of New York. I'm gonna send it to Rocco.
Dude, see, I mean, they all don't talk, because if they all talked, Rocco would say never give him a parking ticket. The guy in Massachusetts would have said he's a really nice guy, don't give him a ticket. So they're not on the same network.
Parked for I probably should. It was like 30 minutes.
30 minutes.
The worst.
Were you visiting a client?
Yeah.
Just expense it. Can you expense it?
I don't think you can expense that one. I don't think you can.
That's definitely a business expense for sure. You could finagle that somehow.
I don't know.
But this is not advice for anyone, but this is my own personal experience with tickets from New York City. I've not paid them, and I've been okay.
Don't tell me about this. Well,
That's definitely not advice.
It's not advice.
That's definitely not advice.
It's my experience because, and unfortunately, at the time of those expenses, those tickets, I didn't put the money aside. I didn't account for those. I didn't account for those emergencies. So, $150 ticket.
So you can't go back to New York anymore, right?
I'm pretty much banned from New York City and East Stroudsburg University, or the town. I have like 100 unpaid tickets there.
How did you, dude? They wouldn't let me. They like threatened me. They're like, you can't walk if you don't pay these tickets. So I just paid him.
Oh my God, yes, they sent me that list of all my tickets.
I forgot I got an insane amount of parking tickets at school because there was no parking. Impossible. Yeah. You're late for class or
it was like you're gonna give me this ticket. I have nowhere to park.
Right.
So like if you had enough parking,
I'm either gonna not go to class or I'm gonna park illegally. All right, great.
Colleges are about that. Businesses, one big business. But I had a bunch of those I paid, and then the other ones were because I lived off campus. They were just like in the community, so they weren't from the actual university. They were from the township.
Gotcha.
So
it was only $35. I've been meaning to pay it yesterday. I just haven't even gotten around to it.
Oh, your ticket's only $35?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. I mean,
just pay it.
Yeah,
just pay
it.
Yeah.
It's not horrible.
Eat it. Hopefully he paid for lunch, so.
No, I can expense that.
Will.
Yes.
Disclaimer,
you want to read it, Mike?
No, I don't have it in front of me. You read it.
The thoughts and opinions shared on this show are not the thoughts and opinions of Pzna Investment Management.
Perfect.
I'll also add that to the description for the YouTube video. Guys, another great episode. I think we really nailed it with keeping this one under an hour and almost under 30 minutes.
I'm really proud of us.
Nice.
Yeah. So for all our listeners, our viewers, this is a weekly podcast we're hosting. Currently, we're doing Wednesday nights, but unfortunately, we'll be switching things up because Mike got the call. He's going into the big leagues.
I'm going back to the city soon.
Back to the
office. Man. Brutal.
Yep. Only a couple days a week, so it's not too bad. But
how far is the commute
back
from down the shore?
On the bus. What?
How far is the commute from down the shore?
Door to door. It's probably about an hour and a half each way.
Oof.
Is that
pretty tough.
Straight train though?
No, I take the bus because I'm cheap. The bus is like $120 less a month.
I
really don't mind it.
I'm a bus guy.
And I walk from Port Authority to my office. So again, cheap. I'm not getting on the subway because it's like another $100.
You had to transfer on the train. If you fall asleep on the train,
you're beat.
No good.
At least I just wake up in Port Authority and I have to get
exactly.
Yeah, they're like, dude, we're here. Get off. Unless they send you back to Jersey. Yeah, that's not bad. An hour and a half from Mattapan.
No, it's terrible. What are you talking about? 3 hours round trip.
Bro, I mean, I'm in North Jersey, right? And then when I would take the bus into the city, when I worked in Chelsea, I would take the bus and it would take me an hour. And that was morning, like I think it was a 7:00 bus. So I would get on the bus and
that's actually very fair. Figuring it's coming from the shore and it's only an hour and a half, like
yeah, it's not bad.
That's if it's on time.
It's like an hour. It was like an hour.
But that's if everything goes right. I'm not counting traffic.
Yeah, when you're watching.
Yeah, you're not counting. You're not counting like the Lincoln Tunnel. Actually, I don't know. Is the Lincoln Tunnel even that bad anymore? I've been commuted into the city since.
They're all bad. No, it has been bad because I was commuting back a little bit in the summer, but I just know the moment that everyone's going back, it's going to be brutal again.
Yeah, I think you got a while though.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. So, well, good luck. Good luck back in the office. So we'll be switching times. Just keep an eye out for that. Days, maybe switching to Tuesday. We got to see, but
TBD.
Yeah, TBD. This is episode 4. Guys, it's been real.
Later.
Money
See ya.
Talks. Peace.